If there's anyone else who'd like to come stand with the people right here, then please do. I'd like a couple more people.
How are you? Well, nice to see you. I'm so glad you told me to come because I ran into my old friend Denise Heberly, who's an attorney who works. We've been working with students. How are you? Yeah. Yeah. This is a non-honorary. What kind of law you work? I'm good. Civil rights law.
You want to say hi to me? Hi, Kelly. How are you?
I don't know your husband, but I know.
You're down.
Oh, you know Noel? Oh. Yeah. So Jesse wanted me to ask you, she couldn't come today, but she wanted me to ask you how your vigils are doing. Really?
We stand on Liberty and Ford.
Liberty and Ford. Okay.
So Liberty is closed right there.
Right. It's Thursday nights, yeah.
Thursday night, 4:30 to 6.
Yeah. That's,
Some parks.
well, she tried to get a group to do things on Sunday, and the last 2 Sundays it's been burned. So,
We are going to do
uh-huh. Oh, okay. Yeah.
They could walk. Back in the old days, from Michigan Daily back in the 60s. He was an old hippie.
Okay. Standing there. Oh, no, sorry. Okay, no worries. You're fine. You're fine. How did you hear about the event?
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to stand behind you. You're like a best I look for. All right. Not because you're not old, but your dad's old. And your dad. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I know. I'm a Tlaib. I know. You know I'm a Tlaib? I'm a Tlaib. Oh, okay. Anyways, I was gonna ask her, but yeah, thank you. That's what I got. All right. Come on.
If you can hear me, please say Free Palestine.
Free Palestine!
If you can hear me, please say Free Palestine.
Free Palestine!
If you can hear me, please say loudly Free Palestine.
Free Palestine!
We are here for two reasons. First, because the genocide continues. The death, destruction, and the denial of Palestinian humanity continues. And of course, the struggle to end that genocide, to reclaim Palestinian humanity, and to free Palestine also continues. The second reason we are here in this place today is because the University of Michigan continues its recruitment of students and others who have been fighting for divestment as part of that effort to end the genocide. Most recently, this repression has been expressed in disciplinary charges that the university has brought forth against students and alumni through the Office of Student Conflict Resolution, which is intended to be a restorative justice process, but in fact has been a repressive process that denies due process to these students and alumni. We have several speakers here today to address various dimensions of why we're here. I would like to bring up the first speaker, who is Tlaib Tishon. Tlaib is president of the Graduate Employees Organization, a member of the Palestine Solidarity Movement at U of M, and an organizer with Omna Tigray and Voice for an Independent Tigray.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Nice. I'm going to be reading a statement from a fellow worker, prior Oscar staff member. My name is Ariana, and I am a former student staff member of the Office of Student Conflict Resolution. I worked with the office for a year and took on the role because I sincerely believed in the office's ability to implement restorative justice practices for the betterment of the campus community. It quickly became clear that Oscar had more interest in exerting power over students and bending the knee to the University of Michigan Board of Regents. Restorative justice is by definition a process designed to repair harm and foster authentic dialogue, not to impose punishment. Yet, through the punitive prosecution of these protesters, Oscar has utterly betrayed its core mission to build trust, promote justice, and teach peace. This is not conflict resolution. It is the outright suppression of free speech. This hypocrisy is compounded by Oscar's complete failure to address the police brutality these same students have endured. By ignoring this harm, the office actively perpetuates it, particularly against students of color and from other marginalized communities. The office's inaction in the face of state violence reveals whose safety it truly values and protects. The process that Oscar undergoes to prosecute these students is structurally designed to find these students as guilty, with their outcomes predetermined. Oscar staff and prosecutors choose to strictly adhere to the statement when it benefits them, and disregard or overrule the statement when it doesn't. Additionally, Vice President of Student Life, Martino Harmon, has the unilateral authority to overrule any of the outcomes as he sees fit, placing all power back to the hands of the university administration. The university is now formalizing this punitive turn with the creation of a brand new office, the Office of Student Accountability, otherwise known as OSA. This is an entire office dedicated solely to investigatory processes, which means more resources, more dedicated staff, and more powerful infrastructure for surveillance and punishment of student protesters. Boo. As a former staff member, I call on Oscar to drop the charges against all of the student protesters, acknowledge the harm that university police have caused in the campus community, and to operate by the restorative justice principles that they so proudly proclaim in their mission statement. Solidarity and thank you.
Next, we have Rita Lee, a member organizer of University Staff AFT Local 284. Ms. Safaree.
Okay, got it. Hi. So I'm going to focus on staff and the decision to have us recognized is great and all, but I think the power of our union is actually with each other. And every time people ask me who is eligible for the union, who's not, it's all the people who support the university and make the university run on a day-to-day. The professors need their classrooms prepared. Prospective students need to learn at the school through admissions. Students who are enrolled here need academic advisors to guide them through this monster of a university. It's so wide, there's so many classes, so many resources, and the only way to connect them is to have that human talking through what resources make sense for your long-term career goals. There's a whole slew of titles, and we also have members who are covered and bargained for in the Office of Student Conflict Resolution. Now, a union is supposed to organize collectively and think collectively, not act as a sole decider or a sole prosecutor in the case of Donovan. And I think what's really important here is to remember for all the people who work for the university and aren't the teachers and aren't the people providing the direct medical care, you have a spot in USU, and with or without recognition, we will protect you, because what protects staff is a little bit the legal benefits and the material conditions that we gain from recognition, but more so, it's all the instances that we spoke up for one another. We had a member who protested for Palestine and then faced a firing opportunity from his boss, and that made no sense. So that guy reached out to one of us, he's a union member, and we said, hey, none of us have recognition. We have nothing to lose by defending you. So we went to his hearing, we wrote a solidarity statement together. It was a hard conversation. Ultimately, like 99% of us agreed that this is wrong, that we shouldn't be fired on the basis of saying what we believe is right, including speaking up against genocide. And so we won that case. That person still has their job, and that was through union power. The union is not when the boss tells you you have the power. The union is when you say you have the power with your staff, with your coworkers, with the people who have the same exact working conditions that you do across job titles. And now we have the same problem. We have a member who was recognized, part of our first unit, who was fired despite us speaking up for them, despite our parent local AFT Michigan writing a beautiful letter, AFL-CIO president also joining us that letter, despite the boss claiming we have Weingarten rights and the ability to bargain for the grounds of what is just termination. We're no longer at-will employees, we're just cause employees. And so I'm here speaking mostly on that case. And again, I would just like to emphasize to anyone that's listening who doubts the power of a union, I stand before you with all the benefits that I've gained from my members and from each other. I do not get any of these protections from my manager, from my HR team, from the people up there. I get it from the fellow coworkers who signed their card who organized with me, who had conversations, difficult conversations about how like deeply intrinsically tied our jobs are to the political landscape around the globe. And many of us are severely underpaid. We shouldn't have to spend our jobs worrying about like the larger implications and harming through supporting this institution. So I hope that by speaking today, I can compel people to join a union wherever your situation is, to start a union. I did it myself. Like, if I can do it, you can do it. And finally, we bargain on Tuesdays. Wear purple, show your support, read your emails. If you are a staff member at U of M who isn't supervising another staffer, your interests are intrinsically tied to this bargaining unit. Please find us, talk to us, make sure that your issues, the problems that you want to tackle, are addressed in our contract that we're fighting together for. So that's all I have to say. Thank you for your time.
When we fight,
We win!
when we fight,
We win!
when we fight,
We win!
yeah!
I want to make sure that everyone in the back here, okay? Okay. I want to make sure that we're all the speakers are loud enough so everyone here can hear us and elsewhere as well. Our next speaker is Iman Ali, who is a recent U of M alumna and one of the students now alone who has faced and continues to face the repression that we're here to speak about. Iman?
Hi everyone, can everyone hear me? Yes? Okay, great. Thanks for coming out today. My name is Iman and I'm a recent graduate of the University of Michigan. Nearly 2 months after graduation, I and 10 other students and alumni received notice of allegations from the U of M Office of Student Conflict Resolution, or OSCR. In my case, I was accused of disrupting university operations, failing to comply with requests to leave university-controlled premises, and of physically harming or threatening harm to the university community. This was in relation to 2 pro-Palestine protests demanding divestment, one of which took place well over a year ago on May 3rd, 2024, outside of the University of Michigan Museum of Art, and another protest almost a year later on October 7th of 2024. From the moment I received this complaint from OSCR's Eric Wessel and Donovan Golich, I knew that this was part of a pattern of repression of my and others pro-Palestine activism, and a broader pattern of silencing the community that is holding the university accountable for its complicity in the genocide in Gaza. Knowing this, I assumed from the get-go that any proceedings to come out of these had a predetermined outcome: guilty. In his complaint, Donovan Golich's desired outcome was to ban me from re-enrolling in any programs at the University of Michigan for life. Current students were threatened with suspension and disciplinary probation. This was despite the fact that just 4 months ago, while I was a student employee, University of Michigan Human Resources fired me and several others from our campus employment, and additionally banned us from ever being rehired at the university. This was in retaliation for the same protest at the UMA over a year ago that I'm additionally being disciplined for now by OSCR. Myself and several other unlawfully terminated employees filed a lawsuit against the University of Michigan Regents and the director of U of M HR, Amy Greer, which we are active plaintiffs in. And yet, a few of us were contacted again by HR Director Amy Greer just a couple weeks ago as she sought to include more pro-Palestine protests in addition to the UMA protests under our existing hiring bans. Despite being overseas when I first received the complaint from Donovan Golich against me, I was rushed into an intake meeting with him and consequently a hearing. As he pressured me repeatedly to accept responsibility and enter into an agreement with him, he repeatedly cited an unspecified procedural guideline to wrap things up quickly. regardless of my scheduling concerns and several due process violations. I made Donovan Golich and all of Oscar aware that I was a plaintiff in an ongoing lawsuit against the university in relation to the May 3rd Puma protest that I was already fired from my job for, and that I needed more time to obtain evidence to contribute to my defense in a hearing. Golich and other Oscar staff, including my resolution officer, who's basically the judge, jury, and executioner in my case, all disregarded my concerns altogether, ignoring several of mine and others' emails with no response. They denied me my right to student panel, once again citing an unnamed goal to move quickly, because it was the summer and they couldn't possibly wait until the start of the school year to create a student panel. But I think we know what they were really afraid of. Going into my hearing on Zoom, I felt extremely blindsided and overwhelmed. Immediately, I was met with hostility by Oscar staff, who repeatedly interrupted me, muted me when I spoke, and severely limited my speaking time as well as my time consulting with my attorney. My attorney wasn't allowed to speak on my behalf, and all the evidence I had spent days accumulating was immediately thrown out the window and deemed irrelevant. One of the witnesses I had invited to speak in my defense was barred from speaking for absolutely no reason. Any objections I had in the entire process were either deliberately muted or simply rejected. I repeatedly asked for staff to cite procedural guidelines from the Statement of Student Rights and Responsibilities, under which I was being disciplined for this behavior. They mocked and ridiculed me, and the complainant, Donovan Golich, repeatedly spoke to and about me in an incredibly belittling and condescending manner. Throughout the hearing, Oscar staff repeatedly tried to minimize the subject of why we were there in the first place. In response to my arguments, they insisted that this had nothing to do with the genocide in Gaza, or free speech, or any political motives from the university. This was despite Donovan being explicitly hired as an internal investigator on behalf of the university and receiving unlimited access to confidential police reports and body cam footage from the UMPD. This was despite Oscar violating the SSRR, or the Statement of Student Rights and Responsibilities, by initiating complaints past the outlined 6-month deadline. Eric Wessel, the director of Oscar, said this violation was permitted because requested criminal charges didn't go through the Michigan State Attorney General's office last spring. This was despite repeatedly being denied due process and rushed through a hearing for no specified reasons. This was despite bringing attention to the fact that this was not the first time I and other activists were being punished for our protest of the university's investments in genocide. This was despite them accusing us of violence, all because we stood in opposition to an ongoing genocide. They accused us of community harm and violence, despite U of M police being the ones who repeatedly pepper spray and brutalize us. You want to know what actual violence looks like? It looks like genocide. It looks like bombing schools and hospitals to bait first responders, then bombing them again to ensure Gaza has no remaining doctors to care for their sick and injured. It looks like executing over 200 journalists in almost just under 2 years, with precision strikes and burning children alive while they sleep. While the university tries to paint us as violent and isolate individual actions to their gain, we know that it's the university who is the real source of violence. And it's the university that is stealing land and water to try to build an AI data center that would displace Laney residents. It is the university that already exists on stolen indigenous land. It is the university that invests over $6 billion in the ongoing occupation, apartheid, and genocide of Palestinians. Somewhere along the way, the university thought they could convince us that protesting against genocide is violence, but investing in a genocide isn't. They tried to paint a few protesters as violent disruptors harming the community while they bankroll an apartheid state. Make that make sense. We must be very clear in this moment on what violence actually looks like. We must remain undeterred in our fight for Palestinian liberation and reject all attempts to be preoccupied with arbitrary rules and proceedings. While the university thinks they can silence and distract us, What this administration fails to realize is that in protecting one another and sacrificing for each other and being in community, we are already creating the future that we are fighting for. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Eman, for giving some guidance to the leaders of this institution of things that they could do. Stop doing some things they could do. Before we bring up the next speaker, let's tell them something else they could do. When I say fund our education, you say not the occupation. When I say fund our education, you say
Not the occupation.
fund our education.
Not the occupation.
Fund our education.
Not the occupation.
Fund our education.
Not the occupation.
Our next speaker is Sadia Haddadi, a member of the Rest Staff Allied Organization. Please bring up Sadia.
Hi, my name is Sadia, and I'm an organizer with Rest Staff Allied Organization, otherwise known as RAO. We're the Student Rest Staff Union, and we represent our resident advisors, diversity peer educators, and Rest Staff coordinators. We all work under Michigan Housing, which serves roughly 11,000 students in the dorms. Per M Housing's own words, they intend for dorms to serve as a supportive home for residents of all identities. However, just as with any other branch of universities administration, that institutional support has not been extended when it comes to Palestine. Over the past year, the actions of M Housing Management, without any feedback from its staff or residents, have taken actions to aim to silence the Palestinian and pro-Palestinian voices, while at the same time making the residence halls less safe for all residents. Last year, RAs across several dorms reported dozens of instances of vandalism in which people targeted pro-Palestine imagery. In Mary Markley Hall, students found a public board vandalized with hate speech describing Palestinians as terrorists. In the same building, a Rest Staff member had to move rooms because the Palestine flag on their door was repeatedly targeted. Through all of these instances, M Housing has replicated a pattern which we're all too familiar with. Instead of genuinely providing support and acknowledging how the university has created a hostile environment for Palestinians, M Housing has now opted to make Palestine a taboo topic. When a series of Palestine history events were scheduled over the winter semester last semester, M Housing Management personally stepped in and stopped Rest Staff from presenting that day. The day of these events, RAs were told that they legally could not talk about the information in their presentations because it was not content neutral. And when M Housing was asked to provide why, they couldn't point to a specific policy, but they were intent on shutting us down. Now, residents' door decorations are banned. Rest Staff can't host educational events without going through several approval loops, and RAs feel less safe in their own housing. None of these changes were made with input from staff or students. There were no opportunities for feedback or suggestions. Our working conditions were changed executively. Our freedom of speech were limited, and now M Housing refuses to take accountability. These policy changes have not produced the effect of solving anti-Palestine hate, which has only been reinforced by M Housing and other departments under the U of M administration. Instead, these policies hurt dorm residents. They repress the speech of staff, and they create an environment in which Palestine is censored. As the ongoing genocide in Gaza and the West Bank intensifies, M Housing remains focused on keeping the word Palestine out of the mouths of Rest Staff. At a time when Rest Staff are facing increased scrutiny and fears of termination, we have to ask ourselves, what lengths will M Housing go to in making our working conditions unlivable? We must ask ourselves, what are we willing to do to keep us from talking about the genocide in Palestine? And when will we see a workplace that keeps us safe without limiting our speech? Thank you.
Is this one better?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Our next speaker is Liz Jacobs, an attorney at the Sugar Law Center and board member of the Detroit, Michigan National Lawyers Guild. Please bring up Liz.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Liz Jacob. I'm an attorney who has the privilege of getting to work alongside the Palestine Solidarity Movement here at the University of Michigan. I see this movement every day. It is a movement of students and staff, of faculty and community members, of alumni and concerned community members who are determined, who are caring, and who are loving, who are rooted in love and passion for the people in Palestine who are suffering under Israel's ongoing apartheid, genocide, and forced starvation. This is a movement grounded in care for each other and care for the world. That care drives this community to call on their university, a university they care about, they respect, and they believe can be better, to divest from Israel's ongoing apartheid and genocide. Instead of meeting these community members with care, with meaningful discussion, with an opportunity to change, the University of Michigan, regents, administration, and many of their staff members have chosen to respond with repression at every step, concentrated, consistent acts to try to repress pro-Palestine speech on the campus. Let me just detail some of the ways this university has tried to silence your speech on campus. One, the University of Michigan has attempted time and time again to weaponize student discipline against pro-Palestine students and alumni in an attempt to selectively enforce disciplinary proceedings, disciplinary processes, and the policies of this university to silence, oppress, and punish students who dare to speak out in support of Palestine. The Sugar Law Center has brought a lawsuit in defense of these students and protester rights because we cannot see our First and 14th Amendments violated by the weaponization of campus discipline. Second, we have seen the university issue trespass bans to protesters, including full-time students, banishing folks from their own community, from their classrooms, from their dining halls, because they dared to attend a pro-Palestine protest. They were brave enough to march on the streets and say free Palestine. That is a violation again of our constitutional rights. We have brought a third lawsuit against the University of Michigan in defense of workers, including full-time and student workers, who have had their rights violated because they attended on-campus protests, dared to speak out again in support of Palestine, and then were terminated from jobs months later. And they were permanent banned from ever being able to work in the University of Michigan system again. Another constitutional rights violation. Taken together, this is alarming, y'all. These are really concerning actions that diminish everyone's free speech. If you cannot walk on this campus and say free Palestine, none of us have free speech. All of our rights are. That's why it's so important that we all come together and speak out. Just last January, we saw, after University of Michigan football game, folks were in the streets, they were rallying, they were lighting couches on fire, but because they shouted "Go Blue," they didn't face any repression. But we see consistently, when folks come out of the streets, they say divest now from Israel's ongoing apartheid and genocide, end the starvation in Gaza, free Palestine, then folks are facing campus bans. They're facing weaponized disciplinary proceedings, and they are losing their jobs. That is not a campus, that is not a university, that is fighting for free speech, that is protecting the Constitution, that is allowing meaningful dialogue. That's a campus falling deeper and deeper into authoritarianism, that is following the example of the Trump administration to repress speech that is critical speech that they disfavor. We need to come together and hold our universities accountable for their investments in genocide, apartheid, and war, and for their violations of all of our free speech. Thank you all so much.
For our next speaker, we're going to shift this way. I'm going to ask people here to part way.
Tell people why.
I'm going to tell them why. So we're actually move this way. Thank you for moving. Our next speaker is right here. He is Dr. Michael Mueller. Michael is a recent doctoral alumnus and defendant of the UM encampment 11, who defeated Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel's criminal prosecution. Michael is now facing, I just said that he's a doctoral graduate, but he is still facing student disciplinary charges through the aforementioned and disgraced Oscar. And that is the continuation of the repression that Michael is facing. Michael is standing here because he is still currently under a campus ban, which would bar him from standing over there. So that he's standing here on the public sidewalk, outside of that ban. Let's hear from Michael.
Can people hear me? Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you, Steve, for the introduction. Thanks, everyone, for being here. So, my name is Michael Mueller. I'm a UM alum, finished my PhD a while back, and I'm one of the people that UM is applying disciplinary charges to. Unclear what that means when you're an alum, right? But they have this process. And I'm also one of 11 people who were charged by Attorney General Dana Nessel a while ago. Right, for activity at the UM Gaza Solidarity Encampment. So 11 people were charged at that time. And those charges have been dropped due to popular pressure. So, yeah, I'm here to talk a little bit more about my experience with Zionist repression at UM and what this repression means. And I guess Stephen's already explained why I'm on the sidewalk, so that will come up in the story. But before getting to the specifics, I just wanted to say basically that it's important to recognize where this repression is coming from, why it exists. And just wanted to say the repression from UM and from the state reflects that these institutions are using any means necessary to maintain their ability to profit from the ongoing genocide of the Palestinian people. Israel has killed tens, if not really hundreds of thousands of Palestinians in Gaza in its unsuccessful attempt to break the Palestinian people and their resistance. The UN has recently acknowledged the man-made famine in Gaza City, the first official famine it has ever declared in the Middle East. And as Israel plans to invade the city, it will continue to use US weapons for purposes of extermination. This material support comes from our taxpayer dollars and from companies that institutions like UM sustain with their investments. Shame. And to be clear, when we talk about laws and code of conduct and so on in this discussion, it's important to recognize that the atrocities of Zionism are themselves illegal even under the US's own laws. Every figure knowingly aiding and abetting this genocide, from politicians who vote for the sale of weapons to the UM regents who maintain their financial and political support for Zionism, all these actions are in gross violation of US laws against material support for human rights abuses. But we know they will never be prosecuted under their own system because the ruling class uses law as a weapon against resistance. Now, to get a bit into the repression at UM that I can speak to, so in spring of last year, supporters of Palestine set up a Gaza Solidarity encampment here at UM, like at many other campuses, including Columbia. It was an assembly of all kinds of people, students, faculty, community members, who together aimed to build a community and a practice of resistance, to take direct action to pressure UM to divest, and to disrupt a genocidal status quo. After UM sent police to violently raid the encampment in the early morning, hospitalizing people and using chemical agents against those who held our ground, the regents of the university recruited Attorney General Dana Nessel to press a mixture of misdemeanor and felony charges against 11 protesters. She also agreed to press charges against 3 protesters who were at a later die-in at UM, and has, well, a mixture of the state and UM have banned people from campus. Dozens of people have been banned from all other parts of campus, and a lot of this has targeted people who are especially marginalized and people who are not students, as they try to divide students and non-students in this movement. So, as this repression was happening from the state, there were months of organizing from people all across the state, from all kinds of groups, to pressure Attorney General Dana Nessel to drop the charges. Movement being not just about those of us who were charged, right, but about the fact that it was an attack on the movement for Palestine, and defending it was necessary to sustain the movement. And it took a long time, a very long time, but a lot of popular pressure from all corners of the state, people, showing up at Nessel's events and grilling her, people, shouting her down at the Democratic Party convention, people showing up at court support and putting pressure there, all kinds of things. The pressure was too much, and in the end, Attorney General Dana Nessel dropped the charges. So that was, I would say, a big win for popular resistance. There is still pressure from the state and repression from the state in addition to UM. So Nessel partnered with Trump's FBI to target activists at their homes, and eventually there were subpoenas that were issued to folks who are being ordered to show up and talk to the Attorney General's office about supposed vandalism incidents. Again, this is an attack on the movement. Oh, thank you. But anyway, we continue to fight against that state repression. And now with Oscar, Iman has already talked about Oscar and the UM side of things, but they are continuing to press, disciplinary charges against people who participated in things like encampment. So this is a lot, right? I think I just wanted to end by asking the question, why were all kinds of actors, from university administrators to the Attorney General, to the Trump administration, to the mainstream media, to basically the Democratic and Republican parties, all kind of organizations within formal politics, so riled up by the encampments and by the divestment movement, and so intent on using repression to prevent them from reoccurring? Why would Democrats like Nessel and the UM Regents go so far in their intent to reshape campus and discipline protests that they cut DEI programs in alignment with the Trump administration, they made use of his FBI, and far more, right? They see us as a threat. And I guess I want to end by saying that is actually a good thing, right? They accuse us of disrupting the status quo. They accuse us of doing things that they don't like, that they see as a challenge to their power. And we should actually feel good about that. To disrupt a genocide is right and necessary, and it's not something we should apologize for. The fact that the reaction from those in power is so extreme is maybe not surprising to those paying close attention, but it is clarifying. And I guess I would end by pulling a quote from Blood in My Eye by George Jackson, who was a revolutionary figure in the Black Power movement. Repression. Do you see the effect it has on the uncommitted? Comrade, repression exposes. UM and the state have certainly exposed their interests, and more people are seeing that the genocidal system will not change on its own, will never tolerate the divestment movement, no matter how peaceful we might be, until we build the popular pressure that forces them to divest. And yeah, I would just finally close by encouraging people to continue taking action, continue being part of the movement. There are many ways to be part of popular pressure against repression and against the university and other entities' involvements in genocide. Michigan Divest is taking action against the purchase of Israel bonds, investment in Israel bonds by the state pension system. People locally are organizing against the data center that is enmeshed in the military-industrial complex. So I encourage everyone to keep fighting and free Palestine.
Now we have our final speaker. And to bring up this final speaker, I'd like to call up Mia Hall, who is a PhD student in higher education and Vice President of the Graduate Employees Organization.
Can you hear me? Yes. Awesome, awesome. Hi everyone. I do want to acknowledge before I start this introduction that 1 year ago, actually today, it was the Wednesday of the first day of classes, that the die-in protest happened at Festival, which is actually happening right now on the Diag, which was supposed to be blocked off for whatever reason. And it was there that the university continued their repression against pro-Palestine organizers and targeted both a Black student and a Black community member on campus. So their repression, but their inherent anti-Blackness.
Come on!
Fuck you. Eat shit.
My name is Mia Hall.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine.
My name is Mia Hall, and I'm proud to be here today not only as a student, a worker, and an active organizer for the Palestine Solidarity Movement and this Drop the Charges campaign, but also as a proud finer woman of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, the best Black Greek letter organization. I became a Zeta in spring 2021 through the Xi Zeta Zeta chapter in San Jose, California, and am now a proud member of the Rho Delta Zeta chapter, graduate chapter of Washtenaw County. Because of our legacy, I joined our organization because of our legacy of actually doing the work that others only claim to do. Our motto, which states that Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated is a community-conscious, action-oriented organization, isn't just something we recite, it's a charge. It means showing up for our people, for justice, and our liberation. I also come to you as a scholar whose research focuses on race, racism, and anti-Blackness in higher education, particularly studying how institutions respond to campus activism and free speech. Coupled with my experiences as an organizer both on this campus and in the broader community, I know firsthand, along with my comrades who have spoken today, the ways universities weaponize their power to repress, intimidate, and silence. The Black Greek tradition has always been complicated. Yes, these are elite organizations and elite institutions, but they have also been tools in the hands of students and workers who chose to serve community and fight for freedom. Our organizations have produced leaders who challenge empire, racism, and exploitation. Their legacies remind us that fraternities and sororities are not ends in themselves, they are platforms for struggle, like any organization that we choose to be a part of. Their legacies remind us, from my own sorority sister, Zora Neale Hurston, to Alpha Phi Alpha brother, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Omega Psi Phi brother, Bayard Rustin, and my fraternity brothers of Phi Beta Sigma, union leader and activist A. Philip Randolph, Pan-Africanist and former president of Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah, and Dr. Huey P. Newton, founder of the Black Panther Party. All of them were students, and all of them came up against universities and systems that tried to silence them. We find ourselves in that same struggle today. Right now at the University of Michigan, students, staff, and faculty and community members are being charged, banned, surveilled, and harassed simply for standing with Palestine, for demanding that our tuition dollars and labor not be invested in genocide. This repression does not come from an abstract force. It comes directly from our administration and our regions. Shame! Masquerade masquerading as a champion of higher learning, deploying every insidious tactic they can to crush dissent. That is why I've gathered together, to show that students, workers, and communities will not be intimidated into silence.
Yeah.
It is in this lineage, yes, it is in this lineage that I am proud to introduce my soror, Congresswoman Honorable Rashida Tlaib. Yeah! She too is a Zeta, an honorary member inducted in 2023. Soror Rashida has always been about lifting the voices of the silent, from fighting corporate polluters poisoning Detroit's neighborhoods, to defending seniors, working class families, and immigrants, to standing boldly, unapologetically for her people, for Palestinian liberation. She knows what it means to be censured, vilified, and attacked for daring to say Palestinians deserve freedom. And she has chosen to stand here with us because she understands our fight on this campus is inseparable from the broader struggle for justice everywhere. In Rashida, we see the continuation of our movement traditions, action-oriented, community-conscious, rooted in justice. So while we honor her presence and her position as a servant for our community, let us remember, the heart of this movement is here. It's us, in this space, and the students, workers, and community members who refuse to back down. It is our solidarity, our collective power, that will hold this institution accountable and push us closer to liberation. So I ask all of us here, especially those of us in organizations like the Divine Nine, and all of us in positions of privilege, care for your neighbor, care for your classmate, care for your cohort mate. Stand up for someone other than yourself, because our liberation is bound together. So please join me in welcoming my soror, my sister, Congresswoman Honorable Rashida Tlaib.
So my sister's gonna help me, but I'm a bit of a mama bear, very protective. I'm gonna ask all of us to walk 3 steps forward. I'm gonna ask please for the Meta Peace Team volunteers to be behind us. I'm asking, if the university's not gonna protect us, we're gonna protect ourselves. Thank you all so much. It makes me so, filled with joy and filled with so much pride, because part of our resistance is coming together to say to each other that we aren't in the wrong in trying to save lives no matter faith or ethnicity. There's nothing wrong in protesting genocide, University of Michigan. Nothing, absolutely nothing wrong in saying stop starving children. I know that you have to close your eyes. The University of Michigan needs to close their eyes and pretend they're not Palestinian to give a shit. Then maybe that's what they should do. It has been racialized to the point it's so obvious. For you all to say, let us live, should not be repressed. You should not be oppressed. You should not be targeted. But I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. You all are so incredibly courageous. I don't know if I was your age, if this was happening in my lifetime in college, if I would have been able to do what you all are doing. I know you feel alone. When I said to my team, I don't want them to feel alone. We're going to go on campus. We're going to have a press conference so the public will know what the University of Michigan is doing behind closed doors. The public needs to know what they're doing to all of you. Charges were dismissed. Attorney General. They didn't care, right? They're going to go ahead and create their own process to prosecute you for saying Gaza needs to live, that children in Palestine need to grow old. There is nothing wrong with that. be buried by their oppression and suppression and violence towards student activism. Because we are seeds, and if our movement, if anything I know about our movement in the last 2.5 years, is that we're growing, not getting smaller. To the University of Michigan, let me make it clear. You know, I don't have to be an attorney to know this. Maybe I know you have attorneys, but just so you're clear, constitutional rights of your students, of faculty, alumni do not end when they come on campus. Today's press conference is about hearing directly from the targeted members of the University of Michigan. I could not believe an alum had to stand on a public sidewalk to be able to participate in this press conference. We know they're here to punish your advocacy and silence your voices. They tried in Congress to censure me. They didn't realize they can try to censure me, but they can't censure the world who is saying, free, free Palestine in every corner. I keep saying this, but I tell a lot of people, alhamdulillah, thank God my son decided not to go to this university. Because I know that if he was at this campus, the regents, the president, the leadership of the university would have been targeting his right to exercise his constitutional rights. I'm relieved that I don't have to worry about University of Michigan police sending him to the hospital. The way the university leadership has behaved these last 2 years is a betrayal to the public. This is a public university.
Yes, it is.
When you come here to tour, and I came on a tour because he made me, you'll learn the rich history of student activism. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
But listen to this. Like, I want you to know what's happened here. Student anti-war movements were birthed on this campus. Students organized and won major racial justice reforms at this school because they had to be forced to do it. And they also, the university even celebrated the history of divesting from fossil fuels and from apartheid in South Africa. Yeah, this is the university that is targeting you now. But there's a massive exception, of course, when it comes to defending Palestinian life. When it comes to ending participation in the slaughter and starvation of tens of thousands of innocent people. Instead of plaques honoring all of you for your courage to stop the violence and stop the genocide of Gaza, you all are being harassed and assaulted. The University of Michigan is ruining the lives of young people. They have badly repressed, smeared this movement precisely because it is popular here on campus. The student and faculty and governments continue to support divestment. We all know that. They're winning. But the University of Michigan leadership is apparently so embarrassed that their students and faculty defeated the Attorney General's ridiculous charges that it's changing rules and putting its fingers on the scale to try to ensure that they're punished some other way. The school has weaponized. Make it clear to all the media. They have weaponized the Office of the Student Conflict Resolution. It has a 100% conviction rate for pro-Palestinian anti-genocide activism to try to ban students, faculty, and even alumni from even enrolling or working here at university. A public university is doing this.
Shame.
I want you all to hear directly from the people, and you all are hearing it. Please ask them what happened, because it wasn't just the charges, y'all. They targeted him in other ways. I mean, for God's sake, the Attorney General used Trump's FBI to raid people's homes, taking their parents' vehicles. Not one charge from those raids, not one. Think about that for one moment. So for the University of Michigan, I'm here to say to all of you, you're not alone. You do have constitutional rights. It does not end when you come on the University of Michigan campus, that we're going to continue to fight against this repression. It doesn't have to be Trump. It's the University of Michigan that's doing it to all of you. And so again, we have to stand united. And I have to tell you, the images coming out of Gaza are getting worse, not better. So if we're speaking loudly, amplifying, let Gaza live, we dollars. They must abide by the law. They must not, again, weaponize these so-called administrative processes to target all of you. It is wrong and it is shameful. And I wanted you to know this. Every time I enter that House of Representatives House floor, you all come with me. Every single time. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. All of you are literally the future of truly ending, again, this genocide. It is always going to be you. I come from the most beautiful, blackest city in the country, the city of Detroit. Reminded that Congress and the White House don't move until we make them move. So I'm reminding all of you, the way the University of Michigan is going to move is when all of us stay united in solidarity to make the move and respecting our constitutional rights here on campus. Shame on them. We're putting them on notice. We're not going anywhere. We are seeds, and if anything, we are growing every single day. Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'd like to now ask all the speakers to please come up, and then the speakers will take questions from the press. So all the speakers to come join Representative Tlaib, and the press, please do ask questions.
Any questions? So we're going to be able to do individual interviews if you guys like.
Have you been in contact at all with the Attorney General, or have you spoken with her in any capacity about this?
The question was, have I been in contact with the Attorney General? That's not who we're here to talk about, but obviously she lost the case and dismissed the case. It's shameful. I hope she returns the property she took and stole from these people's homes. I am so upset that, again, she did this to these families. Many of them, again, traumatized by the fact that she went in there, all with the FBI and all these folks, and, you know, kind of military approach, knocking down doors. And all of us have already put her on notice that shame on her for targeting people because she disagrees with them politically. I think it's important that you know we're here because there is a process being launched and, again, weaponized here on campus to do the same thing. To have these folks go through a process where they can't even speak. They can't even defend themselves. And again, all they did was try to end the support of the University of the genocide. And so again, we're just here to share the stories and the human impact of what it means. And it doesn't mean that the 10, whatever students that went before faculty, it doesn't mean that other issues and challenges aren't happening. I hear it all the time, but many people are afraid to come forward to complain to the university because they're afraid. They're so afraid the university would come and kick them out or come and target them because of their speech.
What is the purpose of holding this news conference specifically now?
I think it's the first week of school, and when I talk to some of the students, many of them intern in my office and they're here. I don't want to, embarrass them like a mom does, but they all look so grown up on campus for some reason. But many of them told me that they felt alone. I mean, they brought tears to my eyes. They said, we're alone here. But there are people in the community that showed up, and I told them, they're community mothers. They're here to support them and tell them they're not alone and that we're here to fight on their behalf. They're doing nothing wrong in saying in the support of the genocide. They are trying to save lives.
Are plans changing at all with anything that's going on in Washington? Are organizing plans changing at all with anything going on in Washington?
So the question was, what's going and changing in Washington? Well, because members of Congress have been in their communities, and every town hall they're being asked, what are you doing to stop the genocide? They're talking about, of course, everything that's happening in our country and what the administration's doing. But I don't think Republicans, Democrats are not getting that question. And now you're going to see more and more of them, hopefully, because they're being pushed in their districts, in their communities, both Republican, Democrats, to stop the starvation, to stop, again, end the genocide and the support of the genocide. So I know it's growing because, again, the movement in each people's district is, just even heightened even more. I mean, we got farmers asking Republican colleagues, why are you supporting the genocide? Again, I'll take those questions.
Could anything be done with regards to funding, or is there anything that you're looking at there, since the university does take public funding with response to these disciplinary procedures?
The question is, what is happening because Michigan, University of Michigan is a public university. What is happening at the state level regarding funding? Just know there's some members of Congress already, members of the support a genocide and calling for a very wide, again, support of arms embargo, which is overwhelmingly supported by Americans that don't share my faith or ethnicity. It's growing. I don't know exactly if it's going to be introduced in a way that doesn't impact the university funding. But I think the public, especially if you're a Michigander, anywhere that you live in Michigan, we fund this university. You're sending your children to this university, and they're not able to say free Palestine. That's a problem. We need to do something about it.
What is your response to... We're going to end.
Any more questions for any of the speakers? Thank you, everyone. Please clap for all the speakers. There's an announcement about things that are coming in the coming days.
Hold up the megaphone.
Can everyone hear me okay? So, we want to reiterate that we are all here today in community with each other and with the recognition that in order to build popular support against the repression of this university, we have to be in spaces together. We have to be organizing together. We have to continuously improve our own education and our dedication to each other. So next week, from September 2nd through September 5th, Tuesday through Friday, we are going to be here 8 to 10 hours every day on the corner of State Street and North University. We are going to be inviting educators, organizers, artists, poets from Chicago, from Detroit, from here in Ann Arbor, to host sessions, to host discussions, to talk with us about what it means for us to take part in this movement. What can we contribute? How can we build support for this movement, which is growing more and more popular by the day? So if you have any time at all, Tuesday through Friday next week, be on this campus. Follow SafeXMish on Instagram for more updates. And stay up to date, talk with us, and learn from each other. Thank you. One more announcement.
Hi everyone, my name is Kathleen. I am one of the Oscar students, one of the 11 Oscar students. We have a few minutes left with Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib. So what we'd like to do is we have a delegation of students and staff members who are going to try to meet with President Grasso to discuss our demands for divestment. As you all know, the university has refused to even talk about this. So this is our chance. We hope if they won't open the door to us, hopefully they would open the door to our congresswoman. So if I can ask folks in our delegation to meet here with Rashida, and we're going to go over to the doors of Rashida.
Get the hell, Rashida.
We have our delegation.
Do it, Rashida.